Hi, everyone. It's Ashley with CourtReserve. Welcome to our weekly Spark webinar series. We're so excited to have you today. And I have two incredible people from CourtReserve joining us today. We've got Dale from our onboarding team, and So, one of our leaders on our customer support team. They're going to be taking us through a custom court cost today. But before we get started, we love housekeeping. So if you found us here live, then you know you can go out to courtreserve.com/webinars. We have weekly webinars. And don't forget, next week is our first courtside conversation. It's all about your questions and it's about summer camps. And we've got incredible panelists next week that are really less about CourtReserve and more about your facilities and more about operations and how to get summer camps and when to put them on sale and how to even do summer camps for not only juniors, but also adults. So you can find that on our webinars registration website. And then oh my goodness, it is heating up. We are getting so many registrations for our upcoming Catalyst events. April is in Ohio. We're going to go to Match Point Pickleball Club. Michigan, we're going to Wolverine. Colorado, and we're going to Toronto. So you can go out, sign up, bring your staff. It's $99 for a day and a half of fantastic get togethers with us, training roundtables, all kinds of education. You know, we're all about education. And then don't forget to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way, if you miss a Spark webinar, you'll be notified when we put one up. We have a new podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just a lot of ways that you can stay in tune with what we're doing at CourtReserve and make sure that you guys get educated as well. Now, unless you're living under a rock, we now have public booking. And I just wanted to share quickly how incredible this has been. Let me see if I can actually get out of here. And I just want to remind you guys. So can you guys see the public booking site? Go out to courtreserve.com/public booking, because if you don't know about public booking, we actually have one club that's turned it on. They've put that link on their website and it's creating over 54% of their new court reservations. So if you're a club that's trying to do all kinds of great things and, you know, fill up your classes, fill up your court time, it's super easy to use. You can do waivers. It's honestly, it's fantastic. If you have questions about that, maybe we can take them at the end of our webinar, or maybe you can go out to our incredible support team. So and Dale, I think we're ready to go. There he is. I knew they were here. All right, take it away.
Let me share my screen here real quick. But today we'll be going over custom court costs and how these can be factored into your club, particularly with like times of when your courts are being booked. With slower times, you might want to lower the cost. That way you can fill some court spots. Whereas during prime times where you get more reservations, you might want to raise those prices a little bit to maximize that income that's coming in. Um, Let me see here. So we're here within my club. This is just my expanded scheduler. And then if we want to go check out the court cost, we can go to settings, and then under booking settings and cost, we can navigate here to our custom court cost. And I have a couple of them set up right now for only 2 memberships. But if we come over here to our court cost, we can see my base pricing. So for my default membership, both courts will be $20 an hour. And then for my gold membership, both will be $10 an hour. So whenever a custom court cost is not being used, the system will always refer to this page here to assign pricing for a booking. Whereas if we go over here and we set up a custom court cost, for example, I have one set up for my pickleball singles from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. because these are times where courts might not be being booked as much. So I've lowered that price down to $10. So if we want to go ahead, we can navigate over to our expanded scheduler. And if we just book a court for, we'll get to the next day. We book a court for my default membership at a normal time. So we'll just say 10 a.m. We choose singles. We'll look my name up. And we'll see I'm getting a price. Let me adjust this. I'm getting an hourly price of $20 an hour. So this is my normal court cost. So normally throughout the day, if you book a court, you might get the $20 hour rate. But say you want to book in the morning where the courts might be a little bit slower. We'll just do 6 to 7 here. We'll see that my cost is now being changed to $10. This is very good, really for when you might experience a lower volume in players coming in. And if we come back, say we're in prime time, My prime times right now are set up from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So if we just book a court from 6 to 7, we'll see my cost is going back up to that $20 an hour. You can also book in court cost with additional players. This will be dependent on your fee responsibility. So for example, if you're using each player based on membership, then each player assigned to that booking will receive that cost that is based on their membership here. So if we go back to my morning booking, or actually we'll do a primetime booking here, and we'll do it for doubles. So here we are. I get that $25 rate because I have that custom court cost set up for doubles. And then if we go ahead and add one of my gold members, we'll see that they get assigned no price. And that's going to be because within my reservation rules for my fee responsibility, right now for doubles, I'm using a reservation owner fee responsibility. So for any additional players who are added to that booking, they will also receive the fee of the booking member. But if we go ahead and we change this back to each player based on membership, and then we'll just close this out and create a new booking here real quick. Then we'll go to doubles. And we'll see that each player is assigned the price according to their membership. So we'll set it back down to an hour so it's easy to see. My gold member is getting those cheaper rates because that is a higher expensed membership. They pay a little bit more, so they'll get the courts for a little bit cheaper. Whereas my default membership is not nearly that much, so they will pay a little bit more. And because we're in the prime time, these rates will be more than my normal rates. We can also go ahead and go to singles, remove this player, and that rate will be according to my rate. I don't have one set up for singles. So if we go ahead here, we can go through and set one up real quick. We can just set to every day, and then I'm going to assign it specifically to my singles because I already have custom court costs in place for my doubles. So when I go ahead and try to save this, you'll see that this warning message at the bottom appears, letting you know that our custom court costs already exist. So we'll go ahead and save. We'll just make this $10. Oops, I might already have one. We'll edit the custom times. We'll just make this from like 10 to 12. So then when we go back to that scheduler and set that $20 rate for singles, if we're going to 10 to 12, we'll see that that singles rate will now be $10. Well, I'll have to look into that one. It's not behaving as I expected it to there. But we can skip over to the next part. So as far as prime times, like I said earlier, my prime times are set up to 5 to 9. These are usually times where your courts will be a little bit more expensive just because you got more people booking the courts. Um, so for prime times are different. It might be a little bit more work just to make sure that your custom costs line up exactly. But for what I did here, if my prime times are always going to be from 5 to 9, we'll just go back over to that court cost page. And then I already have one set up here, so we'll get that same exact error. But we would just go like doubles. We could assign this to my doubles type. And then if we want to assign it to only a specific date range or a time range, we can come down here to set custom start and end times. And then we could set that from like 5 to 9. But if your prime times did lie on different days, you can actually filter each custom court cost to occur on a specific event or time. So if we do Sundays, we can actually just edit that. So say your Sunday times were really from like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We can go ahead and edit this from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we can make the price like 15. And I'll change this so we can take a look at it. That reservation name doesn't really relate to this. We'll hit save. Let's see that issue there. At 8 a.m., we'll need 8 p.m. We'll save that. As far as your custom core costs go, these are great to use for specific times for different members. So if you have different memberships and you want to offer them different prices based on the time they come in, you can certainly set that up here. We can also touch a little bit on custom guest costs. Typically, when you have a guest assigned within a reservation type, you can set that price here manually, and you can set that up to be hourly or fixed. Right now, mine is just $10. But with the custom guest cost, what we can actually do is set kind of how the same way the court pricing will work, but we can set it as fixed hourly. We can set the price to be set on certain times of the day or certain days of the week. So we can go ahead and model this real quick. So if we go to that expanded scheduler, and then we can see here, my custom guest costs right now are $10 hourly. So if I'm booking a 2-hour reservation, you would expect it to be $20 for that guest. But if we come in here and we just add our players, and then we'll add our guest, and we'll see that rate is $10 right now. We can adjust this to, that is very strange. Let me see real quick.
So Dale's test account has worked way too hard this week.
That price should be updating with the time here, because we have that custom court cost set to a $10 fixed rate. So I'm not quite sure why it's not updating here. I will have to look into that. But custom guest costs, I did test it before. They do work great. They are awesome. If you have, say you have players that come in and they book 2 3-hour bookings, and they don't want to pay that $10 per hour for that guest, you can certainly come in here and you can have a certain condition set. So that way it'll override that base guest cost when you come in and the member books that guest. We can go ahead and check out a little bit more on custom court costs. Um, you can set them based on their reservation type or their court type. So if you have hard courts or you have clay courts or pickleball courts or tennis courts, you can set this to be conditional based on that as well. And the reservation type, as we kind of already touched over. But there's a lot of different customization that goes into this that you can set that allows your club to run at maximum efficiency. Really just with the specific times of the day, when your courts are busy, when your courts are slower, you can use the custom court cost to really utilize and maximize how many courts are being booked by your members. If you notice, like specifically like from like 9 to 10, your courts might be a little bit slower. You might be able to adjust that custom court cost. That way members see, oh, wait, the courts are $10, $15 cheaper during this time. Maybe I should go ahead and book. I think that's kind of all I really had on the presentation today. If we have any questions, I would really love to be able to go over those with us.
Yes, so Vince did have a question. The question was, can custom pricing be set for like a specific time frame? So to answer that question, yes, we see this done a lot. Specifically around like holiday season, for example, you can go ahead and set those custom court costs for, let's say, Memorial Day weekend. So that's going to be a time period that can be set up where that custom court cost is only going to be applicable for that specific date range. So if you want it to be only for the month of April, then you can set it starting April 1st to the last day of April. And then when May 1st hits, it's going to revert back to your original court cost fees. So if your court costs are $10 typically an hour, and you want to discount them, for spring break, for example, then you can discount them. And then once that date hits, then it will revert back to your original court costs. Great question there. Oh, another question came in asking if there's a way to set up peak and off-peak time frame. So by prime time.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna show
there's
that.
not necessarily going to be off-peak times that you can set within your club, but you can certainly set up prime times. So I'll just go back to my expanded scheduler here. To get to our prime times, we're just going to go to settings. And then right here under booking settings, there's going to be that prime time circle, and we can click there. What we can do is then I can delete these real quick so we can see what it might look like. You'd come in, you'd see maybe Monday, Tuesday don't have a prime time set. And then when you come in and set, you'll be able to apply the time range you want that prime time to occur at. If you wanted to apply to all Mondays, you can leave that checked and hit save. But if you only wanted to be applicable on a certain date, like the 30th, we could set that, set the time here. And then now we've got a prime time set for only March 30th from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Whereas if we want to apply this to all Tuesdays from say 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., we can go ahead and select that, leave that checked, and then save. And then this will always remain set up. They won't directly affect the pricing of your courts. Prime times are really used to kind of control how much members can book courts during that time. But it's also a very good idea to set up a custom court cost that aligns with your prime times. That way you can really get that extra revenue out of the bookings.
All right, we have a couple more questions coming in, and they're asking if the system provides any insight or analytics that can help them make those adjustments. So yes, we do have some awesome reporting where you can pull that information on, what courts are being used more, what days, different things like that. There are some great reports there. I think we already have a webinar on that, so you can definitely check out the YouTube channel for that. And then you can absolutely set up your custom court costs accordingly. So if Mondays are slower and you want to, discount Mondays, you absolutely can do that. We have another question that is if it's worth setting up pricing for all their operating hours or just prime time or peak hours. And that really depends on what you guys have for your organization. For example, if you do want to charge for early mornings, you can set up a custom fee that's only for early mornings and then an afternoon fee, custom pricing as well, and then leave the rest of the time blank. And those fees will only be in place for those hours that you set. Outside of that, the courts can be free. So that really depends on how you want to run your organization. How can we manage an event that is 2 hours, where 1 hour is in prime time in the second? So if you're setting up an event, those fees are going to be set up on the event itself. The custom court costs don't apply to events. And I did want to mention, I think Dell mentioned something about lessons. So while the custom court costs under the reservation settings do not apply to lessons, under the instructor pricing, you do have the option to set up custom pricing for instructors. So, if some instructors want to teach lessons between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. and they want that fee to be more than if they were teaching between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., you can absolutely set up custom pricing for those lessons. It's just not going to be under the typical custom court costs. Great questions.
And I will say that the entire court costs and custom court costs, especially if you've been a CourtReserve club for several years, this can be large, right? And this is a lot of scrolling. So our development team, the reason that this is exciting is because in the next 2 weeks, they are going to make some major improvements to the flow and how this looks. And it'll be an easier way of handling your custom court costs. So stay tuned for that. But just wanted to let everybody know that's very exciting progress. We're also doing that on the instructor pricing as well. So
if we have any other questions coming in, we'd be more than happy to answer anything we can.
Yes, to confirm, they're asking if there's only one price that's possible for the event. They wouldn't be able to manually or to automatically set it up to have peak and off peak timing if the event is within the half prime time, half off prime time. So yes, that's correct. It would have to be manually adjusted.
As far as events go, you would have that drop-in price, or if you did allow full registration, you would have that full registration price there. But that is absolutely correct. You would not be able to set it up to automatically change there with custom cost.
Alrighty. No other questions are coming in at this time.
And I know there's a lot of feedback, not so many questions as much as some feedback. I'll make sure and send this feedback over to our development team so they can use this in thinking about how to make this a simpler feature, but still powerful at the same time. So thank you guys for the feedback too. All right. Well, wow. Great job, first timers. I love it. You guys rocked it. Thank you so much. Don't forget next week, another Spark webinar. And we'll see you guys soon. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.